Order for the dead. Sarah had been working for the popular food delivery app for years, and weird requests weren't anything unusual. Yet, one night, she received an order which made chills run down her spine. The delivery location was marked as a graveyard just outside town, and the order was placed under the name E-Shadow. Curiosity got the better of her, and after some internal debate, she accepted. She came to the graveyard, and nobody was in view, just wind in trees and frosted night air. The note on the delivery told her to leave the food by an old, crumbling mausoleum. The hairs on the back of her neck rose, but she did it. There was a bag beside the stone entrance. She turned her head around, and a groaning sound came reverberating behind her. She looked around, but there was nothing there, just graves and creepy silence. Then comes the buzzing on her phone. Wait. Dubiously, Sarah looked around, but the cemetery was empty. She convinced herself it was just some kind of a prank, but from inside the mausoleum, something creaked. She took one step closer, breathing heavy, just as a hand stretched out from the darkness inside. Sarah screamed and stumbled backward so hard that she lost her grip on her phone. The hand vanished, but slowly the massive stone door sealing off the mausoleum began to crack open. Out of this cave of rot and whisper came the stench of decay. Sarah tried to run, but before she could make it to her car, her phone buzzed once again with another message. Don't leave yet. We're hungry. She sped off into the night. She glanced in her rearview mirror and saw several shadowy figures emerging from the mausoleum, watching her drive away. The next morning, when she checked her phone, a final message came waiting. See you next time. The late night order. It was just an ordinary Saturday evening, and Ravi, a delivery driver, was about to finish his last shift of the night when that peculiar order surfaced. The delivery address did not seem familiar. It was on the outskirts of the city, and people hardly dared to tread at night. Nevertheless, in hopes of gaining a substantial amount of tip, he became reluctant but accepted the order. The GPS led him to a dark, deserted neighborhood, which seemed abandoned except for one house. The house stood eerily still. Lights flickered inside and no one answered when Ravi knocked at the door. Windows were barred and open wide. The door was just a little unhooked and creaky, but no one answered the knocks. A strange odour drifted from within. He placed the food he had brought on the porch and turned round to leave when his phone buzzed with a message. Come inside, bring the food. He stepped inside against his better judgment. The place is dark, the floors creaked, and a chills ran down his spine. He can almost feel and sense that the house is deserted, or at least no one is home. His phone buzzed again with the message, Kitchen. Hurry. His heartbeat increased, and he started to shake as he walked toward the kitchen. Suddenly there was a crashing up above. Then there were footsteps. Ravi froze in terror. Someone must be seeing. The boy acted fast, dropping the food and making a run for it. He turned back and locked the door. This time it shut by itself. Now in custody, Ravi began to realize something was terribly amiss. His cell phone vibrated once more, but the message did not come from the delivery app this time. It said, "You're too late." Lights flickered, and a sinister figure advanced into the shadows, its face contorted in unnatural configuration. What became of the previous delivery drivers? Ravi never did find out, and no one ever heard from him again. The wrong delivery. Jason had delivered food for months without incident, until one rainy evening when he was sent to deliver to a new neighborhood that wasn't on the map. He was sent to a place where few people had ventured, indicated only by winding roads that narrowed through woods. His GPS was out of order, and he became completely lost in such an inconvenient fashion. But like reaps what it sows, somehow he found a lone house in the middle of nowhere. He looked older, forsaken even, but the note was specific: leave on the front porch. Jason knocked, but nobody answered. He was walking away when suddenly the door creaked open on its own. Inside, dark space, inside empty, was all there seemed to be. His phone rang, number unknown. He picked it up. You have the wrong delivery. A bit confused, Jason looked at the receipt. It was the right address. He asked the voice who it was, and the call just ended. Jason just turned around and walked back to his car. He left the food on the porch. He was already inside by the door. He shut the door behind him with clicking locks. He tried to ignore it, but the phone rang again. This time a little louder. It's not safe here. You have the wrong delivery. Jason pushed out of there jittery. But when he returned to it, he could not get the car to start. His phone buzzed again with another text that dropped him in the depths of his freezer. Check in the back seat. Jason's heart lurched as he slowly swung back to face again. There in the back seat was the bag of food he'd just delivered. Except it wasn't exactly the same. There was something inside, moving and rustling the sack. Before he could even open his mouth to respond, the bag tore open and a misshapen, non-human creature leapt out from the darkness toward him. Jason screamed into the woods. By the time anyone came looking, though, he and the car were gone without trace.